In Washington, ghost-like objects dart across the radar screen at the CAA Traffic Control Center at National Airport for several hours, traveling more than 100 miles an hour. Air Force jet fighters spend several hours chasing the objects plotted on the radar scope.
Something else is out there.
There's something else out there, okay.
Of all the banks and braes of bonny Scotland, none holds more fascination than the murky waters of Loch Ness.
Tell me, do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
No, he seems definite. You seem
Definitely.
definite about it. How do you see this life and where?
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
Blackwater Media presents Darkfall. Real-life encounters with the paranormal and the unexplained. Sometimes, over the course of one's life, there exists the possibility of experiencing or encountering something beyond belief, beyond understanding, and perhaps even beyond explanation. And that experience changes a person forever. I live and work in the city of Atlanta. 7 years ago, I inherited a house and about 30 acres of property near the city of Macon, which is about 85 miles south of Atlanta. I came to decide to use the house as a retreat, a place that would serve as a getaway so that from time to time I could get out of the city to relax, unwind, and perhaps do some fishing. The house was a small but tidy, comfortable ranch style and was situated almost at the center of the property. The land itself was just west of the Ocmulgee River. East of the river lay the Ocmulgee Mounds National Historic Park. Many different native cultures had occupied the area since at least the Ice Age, and the mounds themselves had been constructed around the year 900. Within the confines of the park, there are 7 mounds. Anyway, 3 years ago, my girlfriend and I decided to spend the Labor Day weekend at the house. We both got off work early that Friday, and since we'd already gotten our things together, we got in the car, loaded cooler and all, and hit the highway. Before getting to the property, we stopped in town to do some grocery shopping for the long weekend. Primarily deli sandwiches for that night, and a big bag of charcoal, a couple of steaks and chicken wings, and a big tub of potato salad for the rest of the weekend. Anyway, we got to the house, settled in, and enjoyed sandwiches and coffee. That first night came and went as planned, and with no indication or even hint of what was to come. The next day, we visited the park to see the historic mound sites. We walked a couple of the trails, snapped some pictures, and generally soaked in the surroundings. We weren't out there that long. Middle Georgia can be quite warm in early September, and we were both looking forward to an afternoon and evening of cocktails and steaks on the grill. Later on, back at the house, I prepped the grill while my girlfriend, her name is Kelly by the way, got the steak seasoned up and ready to go. We set up a couple of tables on the patio, and after the grill was lit and the steaks were on, we lit 3 or 4 of those outdoor candles that are supposed to keep mosquitoes away, and I turned on the stereo. Anyway, the dinner was fantastic, and as afternoon grew into evening, we enjoyed the drinks and music as the sunset gently gave way to late summer darkness. It was then in full darkness that the pleasant tranquility of the night was shattered by a horrific sound coming from the surrounding woods. We just looked at each other, bewildered by the howling that cut through the air. It wasn't a coyote or dog. It was too loud and deep. And I was like, what the fuck? And just as those words came out of my mouth, Kelly came up out of her chair and pointed to the wood line slightly to our right. Now I'm going to do my best to describe to you exactly what we saw. This thing was incredibly tall with long, thin legs and arms. I'm estimating 10 to 12 feet tall. It had clawed hands and its legs were hocked out like a canine. Its head and face were also canine-like, and it was covered in what looked like badly matted dark brown or black hair. But the eyes, holy shit, the eyes were insane. They were huge, bulging, and white, and seemed like the size of softballs. It was almost as if they were too big for their sockets and were extending way out of the creature's face. It was an absolute goddamn nightmare. We watched it there at the edge of the tree line. It seemed to sway in one direction and then momentarily to the other. We could hear the sound of its shuffling feet and a low rumbling growl. It was almost as if the creature was hesitant to break the wood line, even as if it were somehow being held back or restricted from moving beyond that point. Then, as we watched, the creature ambled back, further and further until it disappeared from out of view back into the forest. A few moments after that, we heard another bone-chilling howl, the sound of which indicated that the thing was moving off in the distance. Although we stayed there for the rest of the holiday weekend, we didn't see or hear anything else that could be considered strange or even out of the ordinary. Since that time, Kelly and I have talked about it from time to time, and whenever it comes up, she refers back to our visit to the Okmulgee Mounds. She had the idea that some way, somehow, something had been disturbed there, something that was better left undisturbed. You know what? I think she's right. And I also think that although the thing terrified us, compared to what might have happened, we got off easy.